Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Podcast Strikes Back. My name is George and you're listening to our weekly show Top 8. We break down this week's biggest stories that dropped in the world of movies. And joining me today is Connor.
Hello.
And Benny.
Hello.
How you been, dudes? What's been happening? How's the week been? You know what? You know what we normally talk about? We talk about movies on this show and we talk about what movies we watched this week.
So let's do that.
So I'm going to start first because I always ask you guys, and every so often I take the reins.
So what have you been watching, Connor?
Thank you for asking, Ben. I'm glad that you're interested.
Hey, no. A few years ago, Benny, you bought me as a lovely birthday present, Masters of Horror, which is this awesome anthology series, horror series on DVD, and it is so fantastic. John Carpenter does an episode.
Yeah, so you finally cracked it open. That's nice.
I tore through them when you got me them, but I haven't watched them in a while. But I decided to chuck on one called the
Fair-Haired Child.
The Fair-Haired Child, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
What a freaky piece.
Who made that one?
I don't know, actually.
I actually believe that
You've got the box
was
there.
William Malone.
Oh.
I just need
One of the lesser masters. I suppose.
But man, like the practical effects are in it. It is a really great story. It's a very Monster of the Week kind of vibe. They really jam a lot into these pieces.
Such a cool concept.
Yeah.
Just getting these big directors to do these tiny budget little TV shot in Canada things.
Yeah, but they're always executed really well, I feel, especially in the first series.
Yeah. I feel like horror is really well adapted to shorter film.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause, I mean, you always lose the gas in a horror film.
Yeah.
And kind of keeping it really condensed and in the moment is a really good idea.
That 1 hour timeline is just a really good duration to execute the story, and then you don't have that last third act sort of last 30 minutes going through the motions. It's
Drawn out.
snappy, it's fast.
You can have a fun little Twilight Zone ending.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. But this one was cool because the practical effects in it were fantastic, and the monster design is so freaky. If you haven't checked this series out, do so because it's fantastic. And thanks
That's
for
the Masters
introducing
of
it to
Horror,
me.
right?
Yeah, Master of Horror. Yeah, thanks for introducing it to me, Benny.
No worries, George. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
For
I
6
think
years ago.
Yeah, when I was like, 30.
Yeah. Ben, what have you been watching?
Geez, I really haven't been watching much this week. Checked out The Mummy, obviously, which we'll be talking about later. Otherwise, I've just kind of been mainlining Harmontown, the podcast.
Oh, really?
yeah.
I like Harmontown.
Yeah, he's a divisive figure, but
So for those who don't know, Harmontown is...
Dan Harmon's podcast, been running for 5 years now or so.
And
The
he's the
creator
creator.
of Community,
Yeah.
and occasional
Rick and Morty.
showrunner of Community and Rick and Morty. Oh yeah, so very interesting guy.
So how often does he pump one of those out a week or...
That's it.
Wow. So it's just a one-on-one with somebody?
No, it's just a free for all. Really, it's not as tightly formatted as our show.
Yeah. Okay.
lot of alcohol, and it's just very interesting. He goes on amazing rants.
Is he just by himself?
No, he's got his comptroller who kind of runs the show for him, and then sometimes they play D&D.
Wow.
So it's like I've said, free for all.
Cool.
Nice.
How about you, Connor?
I've been busy this week. I got
You got a list for us.
I got a list. Yeah, I got probably about just over halfway through House of Cards, latest season.
Nice.
Absolutely excellent. It's still pumping out good content, so
Great.
I'm not disappointed with that. But I kind of, while I was on the Netflix platform, I came across a new release. Suicide Squad is now on on Netflix.
You tortured soul.
What is wrong with you?
No. What do you get? I was like, whenever I see a movie like that I watched in the film or watched in the movies and I didn't really give much credence to and I thought it was shit and all that kind of stuff, I kind of wondered to myself, like, I wonder if I watch it again, how I'll approach it. And
It's called,
stuff.
it's called masochism.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, no, I'm with you. Like, how is it out of that environment, that conversation? Everyone's talking about it. What is
Yeah.
it like once the dust has settled? And
So I chucked it on and I made it about 20 minutes before I had to turn it off.
Wow.
yeah.
It was worse than I remember.
Damn.
So bad.
I actually watched it a second time in the cinema because I was kind
I'm
of
the
fascinated.
masochist.
Well, no, because I was fascinated by its kind of terribleness.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it the second time.
What?
In a sick way. Like not in a like this is a good movie. Just in a like it's so weird and so bizarrely, terribly put together. It's like the worst editing I've ever seen in a blockbuster film. But it was like really fun to watch and just
as a
'Cause it
case
was so
study,
bad.
that film fascinates me.
yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the fact that Warner Brothers brought on a trailer editing company, a company that specializes in that niche to do final edit on this film, it's a fascinating piece.
And that's it. It feels like a bunch of little vignettes that do not fit together. It's like a big, like a bunch of music videos.
Yeah.
And it's kind of enjoyable on that level, but only on that level.
Do you ever think that there's some exec that just thought he was hot shit and he's like, I've got a brilliant idea?
Yeah.
You know how everyone loves
And now
trailers?
he's in the gutter.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think so.
And so
The downfall of that film is Cara Delevingne's character and that whole
that's not the only
component.
thing about
And
that.
the blue light going into the sky. I mean, why do we need to see that again?
I think that probably is the worst element of it.
Yeah.
I just
her
I
little
thought
dancing
that
and
the whole setup for the editing for me, I think, was probably the worst part. Just like the fact that nothing in this movie made sense, like thematic sense.
Yeah.
It's just so all over the place. And I made it about 20 minutes in and I couldn't do it. Like I just couldn't watch it as a movie anymore. And I kind of skipped ahead to certain parts that I remembered being either really bizarre or maybe even half good. And it just, nothing in this movie I've
Connected
was
with.
really enjoyable.
Yeah.
we could all make a list of the top 10 worst things about Suicide Squad and they'd all be completely different.
And
Like,
they'd all
there's
be
that
like
much.
completely legit. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with
Because I really liked that. When I saw the film, I quite liked that sort of montagey introducing the characters at the beginning.
No.
Couldn't believe it.
I didn't mind that. I thought it was insane, but I kind of liked that insanity, and I was like, okay, they're going for it here.
God,
When Joel
hated it.
Kinnaman has that confrontation in the rain with Will Smith, when Will Smith's like finds out the truth about Amanda Waller or something, I literally stood up in the cinema and said, "What the hell is this?"
Joel Kinnaman's character was bizarre.
He was the main character. Like he was clearly
But
set up
they're
to be
just-
the main character in the film, and then there was a lot of changes and stuff. But
His intro was
I really
great.
like Joel Kinnaman too, but it was so weird.
The new RoboCop.
Yeah, man, he's the new RoboCop.
The best RoboCop?
He's one of
He
the
was-
best.
Look,
He was really good in the new House of Cards.
Is he in House of
Speaking
Cards?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. He's
Cool.
really in that.
All right, well, that brings us
so
full
I made
circle.
it about 20 minutes in and then I switched to another not a new release, but another new thing on Netflix, which was Man in the Iron Mask, which was just like a trip down memory lane.
Is that the Leo DiCaprio one?
Yeah.
Oh,
the old
okay. Yeah.
Musketeer or the Dumas follow-up to the Three Musketeers. Yeah, it was enjoyable. It's such a funny film when you've got like all these guys in these weird accents. You got like Jeremy Irons, who's a musketeer in France, who's very British, and then why can't I think of his name?
Gerard Depardieu in that?
I believe so. And then the third musketeer is
Dun 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 dun.
Do you know who
dun,
I'm talking about?
Dun. Nope. And if I did, I wouldn't help you.
what's John Malkovich.
How
How did I not think of John Malkovich? But it's like super, American accent, and like every musketeer has a different accent. What is happening?
Yeah.
The King of France, Leonardo DiCaprio, has like this boyish American accent. This is so good.
It was a free for all back then.
Yeah, that just didn't matter anymore. But yeah, it was very much a trip down memory lane and an enjoyable one at that.
Sounds awful.
Have you ever watched it?
No.
I don't think you would enjoy it.
I think that's fair to
My
assume.
ex-girlfriend tried to make me, and I was like, nah.
I think
Because she didn't watch Star Wars.
That's
There's
why
a
she's an
trade-off
ex.
between us.
that was her
She-
trade-off.
Yeah, she
could've gotten you to
trade-off-
watch anything,
The
and
trade-off
that's
was
what she tried.
Titanic for Star Wars.
Ooh.
So I've never seen Titanic. I would watch Titanic, and she would watch Star Wars. And I was like, nah. Nah.
I think that's one of those movies
No,
that
I'm
you
never
would-
going to the grave.
Yeah.
I'm never seeing Titanic.
I think you'd have had to have watched this when it kind of came out
Yeah.
and had that nostalgia factor, and because it's not a good film.
Anyway, let's
Like
get into the
James
news.
This has been our Man in the Iron Mask podcast. No, all right, we got fucking huge news this week.
Yeah.
Hot off the press.
Yeah.
Brand new.
Yeah.
All right, so onto our list. Number one, this is just dropped like maybe an hour or two ago. The new Black Panther teaser has been released. We just watched it, and holy sweet mother of God, that is such a good trailer.
That puts Ragnarok to shame, I feel.
I don't know about shame, but yeah.
Shame,
and
baby, shame.
I'm sick of the terminology on these things. Teaser. Like, this is a trailer. This is a movie trailer, and it is a fucking great one.
That was the first thing we said after this. That felt like a really, really substantial teaser trailer.
But it doesn't really give away anything. Like, there's no plot in there.
But it gives you so much of the flavor that this film is bringing. It's bringing a vibrancy. It's bringing African culture to the forefront. It's just bringing something completely different.
Yeah.
And it looks space age. Like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing on screen. I was like, this is this fusion of things. It looks like an amazing concoction, and I can't wait to see this film.
Yeah.
I have so much faith in Ryan Coogler, and I keep saying this, but if he makes this movie his way, this is going to be the best thing in the MCU.
And if he nails this, he is going to be heralded as... I mean, he already is. We all loved Creed.
He will be
We've talked about it a number of times.
But yeah, watching this, and I actually went back and I figured out the first minute is a teaser. The first minute gives you a bit of action. It gives you a couple of the characters. It gives you a bit of dialogue.
It's mainly between Martin Friedman's character and Andy Serkis.
Yeah. And that is a teaser trailer. And then there's an extra minute of just fucking badassery.
It goes into sixth gear, eh?
Oh my God. And one of the key elements of this trailer, and I hope one of the key elements of the film, is the music and the soundtrack.
Hopefully that's indicative of what the actual thing's going to be.
Yeah. So cool. And it's not something that you would have heard in the kind of MCU so far. Which I feel like the MCU is really starting to catch on, especially after Guardians of the Galaxy. Like the soundtrack from that, the first one, was such a hit and such a huge part of that film's following.
Iconic.
Fuck it, let's keep this going.
Yeah, get that DNA, musical DNA, bring it to the forefront. Because that's one thing that Marvel hasn't ever done outstandingly well. The music. They are very, very solid. But I've never left a Marvel film and been blown away by the music, other than probably Guardians.
Yeah,
just because. But that was just a game changer.
I reckon Iron Man 3 because it ends on such a high note. The credits with that cool little remix of the theme. Anyway.
Oh, okay, yeah, the Black
people who
know.
know.
Yes, but I couldn't hum you the Iron Man theme right now.
I fucking hate that as an indicator of whether or not it's a good score, because they did that video came out as like a guy gets like hum the Harry Potter thing, hum the Star Wars thing. It's like, these are the two most iconic fucking John Williams scores of all time. She can't hum it doesn't mean it's not good. Anyway, this is another torch.
It's the same like hum Inception. That's iconic, but hum in
wow. Exactly. You can't hum that.
Exactly. So I'm with you, but in the same token, Marvel has always, I think they've been a follower when it comes to music in a lot of ways, and they've never tried to push the envelope like they have been an innovator in other elements of their films.
I still remember the first time I saw Thor, the first Thor, and one of the criticisms that I had of that film was I didn't like the score. I thought they really let that slide. And it's been a while since I've seen it. I don't know if that comment would still hold up, or if I'd still hold that opinion, but I do remember the first time I saw it feeling like that was one of the big letdowns of that film.
But yeah, I think we're all on board with Black Panther, more than on board. As I said, the space age element, his ship, that vehicle looks amazing.
I loved his little bat plane from Civil War. It's so cool. I mean, he does look like Batman in that scene where the light goes up and he's just up there in the corner. But it's so much less ridiculous than in Batman v Superman when, he's up in the corner and the cops shine the light on him. It's so stupid. This guy looks fucking badass.
Yep.
And we already know he is because he was so good in Civil War.
And Michael B. Jordan looked cool.
Yeah.
His dreadlocks flipped over to one side.
Yeah.
He looks like he's going to some kind of tribunal or something. So he's the main bad guy, isn't he? Or is he...
He's in a villain role, I think.
Okay.
I don't really know. Forrest Whitaker looks awesome too, which...
I can't even remember seeing him in this.
He was in there, man. And he looked better than Saw Gerrera, so...
It's not a really
in the right
bar.
direction.
Nice! Deception!
What
does he say?
We've got to get fucking George's Saw Gerrera voice in at least once in a podcast.
Every episode. Fuck Saw Gerrera!
Oh, Jesus, all right.
I'm just for the record.
Not about Saw Gerrera, apparently.
But tied in with that, we got some other Marvel news, didn't we, Connor?
Yeah. So kind of as an aside, with the MCU, James Gunn has been announced to oversee the Marvel Cosmic Universe. So
nothing's been announced here.
Yeah,
James Gunn's just saying some stuff.
Massive announcement.
Huge official news.
Yeah, so I think, all right, so I'll correct myself and say that there was a hint. There's a caveat.
No, he's definitely outright said that he's going to be spearheading this project with Kevin Feige. So James Gunn has basically said that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will tie up the Guardians of the Galaxy.
That'll be the last one with that group of characters.
But that's going to spur, be the launch point for a Marvel Cosmic Universe, which will take that whole space age world and expand on it. And we've kind of already seen that. We've already seen there has been kind of like a divide between, I feel like the Guardians have always been off as an aside and off to the side doing their own little thing. And the Earth-based characters, like we're going to see them collide in Avengers 4. But those have always been separate. So it makes sense to expand on that. And maybe even bring in the other Guardians of the Galaxy with Sylvester Stallone's.
I do want to see that movie.
It'll certainly be interesting to see if they kind of run it concurrently or they kind of like really branch it out and
like will they wrap up the Earth-based stories and the Marvel Cosmic Universe will be
that kind of phase 4 type thing.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting either way. But yeah, so some big Marvel news this week.
What do you think about that, Benny?
I prefer the Earth stuff out of the the two halves of it.
I think I do too.
I agree.
Yeah, I think God, I don't know if this is sacrilege, but I feel like I've cooled even further on Guardians 2 since we reviewed it. I haven't seen it again since the second time I saw it, but yeah, it just really it's quite low on my ranking of the MCU films, which is not a bad thing. I like all of them, but yeah, there's so many Earth characters, so many iconic Earth Marvel superheroes. Like I don't really feel the need to go off and spend more time with Adam Warlock or something.
Yeah,
I can definitely see that. But what this might do is give a little bit of that kind of movie for people that are interested in that, because there's a lot of people that really loved Guardians of the Galaxy and that style and that big space thing more than they enjoy the kind of more, I say grounded lightly, the more grounded,
literally,
kind of Earth story Marvel style. So it might just be them diversifying and saying, you know what, these are the two major kind of branches of the movie franchise.
Yep. I think that's a very smart tactic as well. And I think they've said Phase 4 is not going to be the terminology they use.
They have,
so this could be the direction they're going.
Yeah, they don't know what they're doing after Infinity War. I fucking guarantee they have no idea what's going to happen.
Like, fuck.
Yeah, he's like, how do I follow this up?
Yeah, like we got here. I didn't think we'd get this far, and this is crazy.
I hope Feige goes to DC after he's done with Phase 3.
I think Feige has Marvel in his DNA, man.
I think Feige might just run away after this. If he gets away with
retire
the number like the what is it?
Phase 3.
Phase 3. Yeah. Thank you. If he gets away with Phase 3. I think he's going to pretty much say, I've gotten away with murder. Fuck it. Yeah. I'm not going to jump in again.
Yeah.
Screw that. I'm going to go live in a hut somewhere no one can ever ask me about Marvel again.
And everyone forgets that Feige did, I think around 10 Marvel films. He was the producer of 10 Marvel films before Iron Man. So this guy is a Marvel veteran, dude. He's got probably 35 films under his belt as a producer. He knows what he's doing. Anyway.
Yeah. Should we move on? Number 2 in our list.
The second most important shared universe out there.
Yeah. Dark Universe has added The Hunchback of Notre Dame and The Phantom of the Opera to the slate. Now we have a complete compiled list, I believe, of what's coming up now for the Dark Universe.
Okay, let's get the whole list and then let's talk about these two, because I've got a lot of things to say about these individual titles that are coming up.
I'll just quickly run through the full list. So we've got Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Dracula, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Phantom of the Opera, Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Invisible Man, and Wolfman, I believe.
Yeah, so this is just kind of a list rattled off by Alex Kurtzman, who's the kind of producer. He seems to be running the show on this. Leading in charge.
He directed The Mummy.
Yeah, so this is in no way exhaustive necessarily. It's just it seems clear to me that they have not got anything concrete at this point with the Dark Universe. But I will say the name Dark Universe has caught on very quickly. It's been a week since they announced that or something,
and they have a cool little bit at the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
Which I loved.
Ambitious Dark Universe.
Oh, I missed that. I came to the film
it was
about
cool.
a minute late.
It was exactly what it was. What it looks like on the other...
On the trailer for the Dark Universe.
So they're really chucking everything in here. They are just going full steam ahead with this thing, which I think is probably the way to do it for a shared universe. Like, you just got to push forward.
And that was one of my criticisms of The Mummy, which we'll talk about in the review. But they really spent a lot of time setting up this shared universe, and I think it cannibalized the film.
Oh, really? I was about to say, say what you will about the movie itself, I did think that they set up the universe well. So whether that, kind of to the detriment of the film itself,
as a sum of the whole, it's probably going to work well.
Yeah.
But as its own thing and launching off point, I thought, as I said, it just kind of ate into the time that the film had
to be
too. What itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
To just exist on its own accord.
Yeah.
Okay, so now Phantom of the Opera in what the Mummy set up, I don't get that. I don't get that at all. Hunchback of Notre Dame, I can get behind that a little bit more, but Phantom of the Opera,
a horror action adventure Hunchback of Notre Dame movie.
Yeah, I feel like they will be
get Gerard Butler back.
Yeah, I think they'll be taking some fairly serious liberties with the Phantom of the Opera story in order to fit it in here.
It's literally going to be and have no similarity at all,
apart from
you'll have the mask.
Not to the musical necessarily, but to the original story. It could be kind of a cool, interesting like horror thing. But they're not really going for a horror. Exactly. Yeah, it's hard to say what. We've seen The Mummy, and we'll get into that later. But I thought that was trying more than I expected to be a horror film.
Yeah, me too.
So it's kind of encouraging.
And I thought it succeeded in a lot of elements.
I think that they certainly tried for it. I think that this movie
we'll get into the Mummy.
I don't want to get into that film. Suffice it to say, I think that there's a lot that they've built right off the bat to expand on with the universe.
I think this is Alex Kurtzman, like, maybe he's dying or something because he's trying so hard to make this work. Like, this is going to be his legacy. Like, he's saying crazy shit in interviews. Like, he's talking about getting Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, Charlize Theron, and Angelina Jolie for roles in this universe.
Wow.
I think that's completely based on nothing. I don't think he's spoken to anyone. Yeah. I think he's just rattling off the biggest stars in the world. Like, we're talking to these people, and we got The Rock coming in.
Yeah, that's what they do though. He throws the name out there. People start tweeting them.
And then it happens.
And then they'll make a comment on it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Didn't that happen with Rosario Dawson potentially playing Ahsoka in...
Tano.
Yeah. Like, people were tweeting her and she was like, yeah, I'd be into it. I'm pretty sure that's how it went down.
Yeah. It works sometimes, and then, other times it backfires horribly, like Donald Glover in Spider-Man.
That didn't backfire. Now he's in a Spider-Man movie.
He is now in a Spider-Man, but he is not Spider-Man. And instead we got this a little insight into the weirdly racist world of movie fans.
Oh, God, yeah. Well, I mean, we get enough insight into that.
It's always there. It's always under the surface.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
I love the idea of Dwayne Johnson sitting at home just like going through Twitter and just like, Dwayne Johnson rumoured for the Wolfman. He's like, what?
He's like, do I want to do Wolfman?
Yeah.
I'm going to tweet about this. I'll probably get the role.
Well, that's to be honest, if he went to a studio and he's like, I'm going to play this, they'd probably be like, yes, we do like money. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. I mean, he knows how to play the game now.
At the end of the day, I wasn't kidding when I said this is like the second most important movie universe running at the moment, because I guess DC is, they're still trying, and it might end
universe
up,
does not make.
Yeah, it feels like disconnected at this point. But this one, they're really, really trying to make work, and it's a better effort than anyone else is doing at the moment, other than the MCU. So
I thought so as well.
Good luck to them. I would like to see a functioning monster universe going.
Yeah. And one last thing I will say is I did like Russell Crowe in.
No, we're not talking about this movie. We're not we're not talking about it.
But just talking about he's the connective tissue betwing the films.
He's the Nick Fury.
He's the Nick Fury.
I'm ignoring this and we're moving on.
No, you're not.
All right, number 3. Terry Gilliam's The Man Who Killed Don Quixote wraps filming after 17 years of failed starts and development hell.
This is his 8th go at making this film.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this film is kind of like the quintessential development hell case study. Like he's been trying to get this out there for almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
But perseverance, man. This is obviously an incredibly important project to him, an incredibly personal project, and the fact that he's able to actually make this happen.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And
It's a great story.
it just kind of I feel like these types of films, the ones that people are so passionate about that they'll spend enormous amounts of time, have the potential to be the greatest films. I mean, if you look at things like Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds trying for 10 years to get this film made, and finally being able to get the reins on a project that he was kind of integral in making, and you got a great film out of it. So I hope that this goes the same way.
Yeah, if this turns out to be extremely average, this is going to be the most soul-crushing thing in the world.
Oh, can you imagine?
And, there's always that chance with Terry Gilliam, who I love, but he's definitely a bit hit or miss.
Yeah, I mean, what was
He takes risks.
What was that one? The Dr. Parnassus. I didn't really like that.
I dug it, especially from the context of, losing Heath Ledger halfway through making it. Of course, that's a big blow. I thought the way it ended up was all right.
I thought it was a strange film, but I kind of dug that.
But this is a guy who made Brazil, so I'll always follow him to the end of this.
Brazil and 12 Monkeys for me are just absolutely outstanding pieces of cinema, and those I consider some of the best sci-fi and some of my favorite films to put on.
Yeah, he's really got this very distinct flavor that no one else has out there.
When he hits, he really hits.
Oh, yeah. So I don't really know much about the actual story behind this film. So it's a fantasy adventure comedy.
Yeah, it's based on a story from the 1600s.
Okay.
Sort of like really old, Don
Something
Quixote.
to do with windmills?
Fights the windmill. Yeah, he thinks they're giants.
I vaguely remember hearing about that story when I was a kid, and it's
referenced in The Simpsons. It's probably where most people know it from. Yeah.
And it's starring Adam Driver, Stellan Skarsgård. I love Adam Driver. He seems like a pretty intense dude.
One of the 8 attempts at this movie was meant to be starring Johnny Depp, so this should be a better version
the
than that.
1998, I believe, the original one had him as the main character.
Good riddance.
Yeah, Adam Driver's awesome. He keeps doing the best stuff out there.
And he barred off Mark Hamill. Did you guys read about that?
No.
Mark Hamill wanted to hang out with him on The Last Jedi, and Adam Driver was like, "Nah, I don't want to associate with people that I don't want to corrupt my character formation in my mind by getting to know you. In my head, you are Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
really?
You are my former mentor, and he couldn't.
And I will destroy you.
Yeah, he could. So he seems like a very intense, almost method kind of guy. He was in the special forces as well.
Well, he was a Marine.
A Marine, yeah.
Yeah.
Shit, man. I mean,
that'll mess you up.
and he only started acting when he was 27.
So there's
We've still got time.
Yeah.
For anyone that hasn't seen it, he did a TED Talk about going from the
I
Marines
saw that.
into kind of everyday life and trying to find purpose after the Marines. It's probably one of my favorite TED Talks out there. And it really gave me a respect for him and his craft. So I highly recommend people check that out.
People who didn't start when they were 4 and they've been acting,
your Leonardo DiCaprio's,
somebody who had a different life path and then changed and was able to adapt and bring that other life experience into the role. Anyway, we're gushing on Adam Driver here a little too much. We're supposed to be talking about Terry Gilliam's film. But anyway, I think we're all very excited, and I think it's a thumbs up from perseverance and getting your art out there.
Yeah, I'm all for taking your time to get a project done right, and hopefully that's what this is. So we'll see how it goes. As you said, hit or miss.
We got a release date on this at all?
I don't think so.
No.
I think they've just started filming.
Wrapped, yeah.
Okay.
Or sorry, just wrapped. So.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, Connor, I'm going to take this next story, and I'm just going to ask you two to play nice, please. I don't want to have to jump.
Fair enough,
I don't want to have to jump in between you. So the Fantastic Beasts.
What number is this?
This is number 4, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them sequel. It's just sent out a casting call for teenage versions of Newt Scamander, Albus Dumbledore, and Gellert Grindelwald. So we're going to be seeing the teenage versions of all those characters in this one. How does that make you feel, boys?
I'm honestly so empty inside.
All right.
Thank God we have stories like the last one, because this is just, for me, I am so against this. I'm actually against this. I'm normally very passive kind of guy, this is happening.
Wait to see how it is.
I am against this, honestly. So get out of here. Get out of here.
This is like a prequel within a prequel.
Yeah, I will give this a chance because I think that, and I've mentioned this before, I think that the movies really missed out on a chance to explore Albus's character. They did. They completely fucked it.
Okay, yeah.
In those final two films.
I will agree with that.
And because I'm currently rereading the books, and I'm on the last book, and it just kind of really brings to the forefront how much of an missed opportunity that was. That part of me really wants to see them explore that material, and I think that it could be done right, potentially. However, if this is in the same vein as Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, I don't know if I'm all that keen. Because while I enjoyed that film, it wasn't great. It wasn't.
The reason why those scenes and that information in the last Harry Potter books about Dumbledore, where you find out more about him, is so successful is because it relates to Harry's personal journey. So the fact that those films are done, the opportunity's lost now. That's gone. If you do a prequel and it's just some sandwiched in bullshit that it's going to fucking be, it's not going to work. It's not going to work at all, and it's completely arbitrary. It's got no context, and it's just going to be churned out bullcrap. It's going to make $750 million at the box office. Warner Brothers are going to go home happy. They'll sell a fuckload of merch, and Jude Law will be bullshit.
I am fascinated to no end by how passionate you two are about Harry fucking Potter. It blows my goddamn mind.
Harry Potter was so personal for me, man. Like I was 15 when Order of the Phoenix came out, that book. I remember going to the bookstore and just like gushing on that book.
I remember being, I think it was 11 or 12, and being like, I need to get my letter to Hogwarts. If I don't get my letter, I'm fucking devastated. I was just like, that in my mind, I was like, this has to happen.
I remember being 27 and being like, where's my letter to Hogwarts?
They've never been the same since. Look,
it's
the good news here.
to me.
The good news here is, the more people playing Grindelwald who aren't Johnny Depp, the better.
So is he officially off being Grindelwald?
No,
like, I don't understand.
What?
So they're
casting teenage Grindelwald.
Okay, so that's
So
what
someone
we're just talking about,
so
like that.
It's not going to be Johnny Depp, unless they do the fucking Pirates of the Caribbean de-aging.
That's what they'll do. Prequel and then a prequel.
No, this is interesting. It's kind of good to hear they're just casting young people instead of trying to do that again.
Yeah.
Because that's getting a little too prolific now. It should be used very sparingly.
That's the only thing I can give this.
So ultimately, I'm gonna give this a chance because I think there is content in there, and I agree with you when I say that when you said that the real kind of the great thing about that last book and the great thing about his journey in that last book is how it relates to Harry Potter. And now that that's done, you're not going to get the same thing.
You're seeing it through his eyes. Like Dumbledore was this. He was this grandfather. He was this. He was this caring man, and to have that flipped on its head, that perspective, that's what's so powerful about. If you just see Dumbledore's story, the movie starts, and you just see young Dumbledore, and he's doing all the stuff that happens, and you learn about it. It's like, oh, okay, wow, okay.
I think it's nothing.
It's nothing.
I think he's a complex enough character, and I think there's enough about him that they could expand on it and kind of build something interesting out of it. If it's just what you saw in the 8th book, then of course, that's just not interesting. But I think they have the material to make something interesting. So I'm going to give it a chance. There's every chance that it's going to be shockingly bad and as much the failure as you say it's going to be in terms of what it's going to do for the fans. But
I think the concept of the Great Wizarding War has enough there that it could be something really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm of the mind that, whatever it is, however terrible it is, it's not going to take away from the other films. George, you could just not watch them, which I highly suspect is going to happen. In the later Harry Potter movies, do you see a different actor play young Dumbledore at all? Because you
don't see young Dumbledore at all.
Yeah, you see him when he's you see in Half-Blood Prince. You see young Voldemort talking with.
Oh, but that is same actor.
Michael Gambon.
Yeah, but he's just he's been de-aged via fucking wigs and stuff, Hollywood, and prosthetic stuff. All right.
Yeah.
Have a listen, and it was successful.
Yeah, they de-aged him from 100 to 50. Like that wasn't the biggest challenge.
Barely noticeable. He's like 20 years younger.
Yeah, just put a better beard on him. He can be 15. It's fine.
Yeah.
I had something to say on this. I have one more thing to say. Fuck.
That was probably it. Just fuck. I'm going to give you 15 seconds.
We're also going to see Letta Lestrange in this film.
Who?
You know, Zoe Kravitz was in the photo of Newt Scamander's ex.
Oh.
No, he didn't make it that far in.
No. I
Oh, right, yeah. Well,
I made it about 45 minutes.
so yeah,
I thought you said you made it 20 minutes in. You made it 20 minutes. If it's when that Niffler comes in.
Very
I was so
Bang.
angry. My concept of time was completely out of whack. Listen, I can't remember what I was going to say, but at the end of the day, I'm very against this.
Start a petition.
I'm going to try and sabotage this whole project. Like if I disappear, you know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Espionage onto the set.
Yeah.
All right, on to number 5. This is actually another big story. So what we found is that we kind of made a mistake last week.
Make a mistake.
Well, we said that Patty Jenkins had been signed on for the second Wonder Woman. What it has actually turned out to be is that Patty Jenkins is in fact not signed on for Wonder Woman 2. And yeah.
Okay, so that's an at this stage kind of story.
I think it's pretty much guaranteed that she will be
I think
on board.
really the only story here is that DC is going to have to pay her a lot more than they did for the first movie because they're going to get her back after all this press.
Yeah.
Like they can't not.
And she blew it out of the park. You can go listen to our Wonder Woman review from last week. She was, that's my perspective. You go listen to a podcast and you listen to what the other two boys
either of
thought
us
of it.
would argue the fact that she did an awesome job, particularly I think with what she was given.
Yep.
And I don't know how much input she had in the overall story.
It's hard to say with these studio films.
Yeah, of course. But I think a lot of credit does need to go to her for the awesome parts of that film.
But
so I think they need her back for Wonder Woman 2, not only from a movie making perspective, but just from a press perspective. Like it would be such a cock up on their part if they got rid of her.
It's great PR. There was a couple other things that Warner Brothers talked about this week regarding release dates moving forward for DCEU stuff. So they talked about how they're not announcing anything until Justice League comes out.
Yeah. So they've de-announced a few movies here.
Yeah. So I think that is a really smart move on their
For DC,
part.
yes.
I think they've been way too trigger happy in the past and announced movies.
I'm so keen for the Cyborg film.
Ben.
Oh,
I think that's a smart move.
Well, we've confirmed that some of the characters from Wonder Woman will be in, apart from obviously from Wonder Woman. So
Wonder Woman confirmed.
Yeah, both Connie Nielsen and Robin Wright, who played Wonder Woman's mother and aunt in the
What are the names?
film. Hippolyta and Antelope.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I would have said.
What is it? Antiope?
Antiope and Hippolyta.
Who gives a fuck?
Oh, all right. I mean, you should. You're fucking in love with Robin Wright.
Speculation is that that scene in the trailer for Justice League is like a little prequel. So that big battle that's going on between the Amazon warriors and is it Darkseid's army?
Yeah, the parademons.
Parademons, yeah.
So the idea is that's probably how the mother boxes ended up on Earth.
Yes.
Some big ancient war.
The mother box.
Ah, fuck.
Like a Tesseract light?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like more like an Apple Tesseract.
Yeah. So yeah, cool. I'm
Cheap Chinese knockoff.
Yeah.
I'm really keen to see these ladies back with their Transylvanian accents.
Yeah, that was one of your favorites.
Iranian/Russian accents.
The children of the night. what sweet music they make. But no, they were badass characters, so I'm glad to see that they're coming back.
Yep.
Despite that,
Even
maybe
if,
not seeming the case in the film.
Just briefly. Yeah.
Connor's happy.
Yeah.
His girl,
I
Robin.
love Robin Wright.
Do you like The Princess Bride?
I love The Princess Bride, man.
Yeah.
If you're going to talk about nostalgic films and just like fun films, that's got to be on the top of the list.
Did you guys come to
No, I missed it.
Circular Quay? We went to see it at
I
big
missed
screen.
it, which is a huge disappointment.
That was so much fun.
You know what? When I remember watching it as a kid and then rewatching it as an adult, and I had never realized how much of a comedy it was. Like it just didn't register in my mind. I was just like, oh, this is just a cool adventure flick.
Yeah.
But like going back and realizing like this is a funny film.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, moving on. Number 6 on our list, we had a new trailer for Spike TV's adaptation of Stephen King's The Mist. This looks super violent.
Yeah,
I'm kind of excited for
this
it.
show looks brutal as fuck.
Yeah.
It's got to be. It's an interesting concept. I'm a big fan of the Frank Darabont version.
Yeah, I really like that movie.
That was one of the first movies to do that whole black and white thing. So I think it was released in the cinemas as just a normal color film, but Darabont, in his head, he wanted to do it as a black and white film.
Yeah, like an old creature feature.
Yeah.
Thing.
So I think I've only ever seen it in black and white. I don't think I've ever watched it in the color version.
I don't think I've ever seen it in black and white.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
The other day I saw the scene where the giant tentacles coming through the shutter at the back. I remember at the time, like when it came out, being like, wow, these special effects are not good. Watching it again the other day, now, holy shit, it is bad. It is real bad. Yeah. But
that was a slim budget, that film.
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
Like one location.
Yeah. I remember that scene standing out. Like the rest of it was a bit better. But I'm keen for this, man. I really like this concept, and I think there is enough there to hold a series. Just the idea of these people in a survival situation is compelling enough. But then, of course, you've also got this crazy science fiction monsters coming out of the mist. Very cool.
Yeah, and the creatures are just incredibly horrifying.
Nightmare creations. They don't need to have any kind of scientific or biological logic applied to them because they're never really explained in the original story. I think they're just like they could be coming from hell for all we know.
Yeah, I think it is a portal from some kind of hellish. Kind of a hell.
This just
George has figured out the mist.
I've got it, guys.
But yeah, just even in the trailer, that there's a quick flash of a creature that had no jaw.
That was, I think there was a woman who just
or a woman
had her,
like
had her
whoever
face
the
half
fuck it
removed.
is, it's creepy as shit.
It's gross, man.
And there's these like these just like gargantuan creatures that exist, and they're like, what are these otherworldly, just Lovecraftian kind of.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I always love
nihilism.
Yeah, there's something about seeing really good, like large creatures. I don't know what it is.
You're just into large creatures, huh?
Well, I'm just into large creatures. I love me some Godzilla.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. When they get it right, it's hard to get right. It must be a very, very difficult task. I think that was one of the best things Guillermo del Toro did in Pacific Rim was to evoke the size and the scale.
I think they did it really well in King Kong, giving the scale of that.
I think so as well. Pity they didn't do anything else right.
Be interesting to see how this series of television, the season ends, because the movie ends on a very final note, very, very divisive final note.
It's brutal.
Wonder if they're planning to try and take this into future seasons if they can, and how that'll play out.
They could do it, maybe like an American Horror Story type situation where the mist just shows up to different towns every time.
Just as it moves across America.
I think that was my one concern with this is how much. See, I'm not that knowledgeable on the actual book itself.
It's just a short story, I believe.
Oh, okay. So the book, the Darabont film, is that pretty faithful to?
I don't know.
Because Darabont has done many. I think he's got quite a close relationship with Stephen King. He did The Green Mile. He did Shawshank Redemption. He did The Mist. So
if I had to assume, I would think it's just taking the premise and
Yeah.
and running with it naturally, which I think a TV show could do indefinitely, really.
Yeah,
Hopefully
so-
not as long as The Walking Dead, because holy crap, that has run out of juice. But
Yeah, I don't think that had any juice in it to begin with. So
It has.
Anyway, that's another story.
It's kind of heralded as one of the better shows on TV, or at least it was.
I don't think anyone actually thinks it's like good. They just watch it because it's very.
It's always there.
Like addictive, yeah. And it's
I was never into it.
it's the same shit.
I'm not that into it.
All right, moving on. Number 7. Jennifer Connelly has been cast in TNT's Snowpiercer TV adaptation. Sorry.
I just like how you say it differently every time.
I
It's like
do.
you
I
flip-flop
don't
back
know
and forth.
why it
Yeah.
is. Like
It's fine.
it's two words sound so interchangeable.
Yeah, I mean, this is cool. I love Snowpiercer.
Do you know I watched it for the first time like a week or two ago?
Yeah.
You didn't put that on your what I've been
were you
watching.
talking-
I feel like there was.
What
a
were you
couple
talking
weeks-
about before? The Man in the Iron Mask? Jesus, man.
Yeah, I watched
Pull
it a couple.
yourself
I watched it.
together.
I didn't watch it this week. I watched it a couple weeks ago, and I remember
Just
thinking,
lie.
like,
Just lie.
well, I can talk about it now. Yeah, so I watched it a couple weeks ago, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed I think 95% of the film, but its ending I thought it didn't make any sense to me. Like it had such a cool premise and it had this really cool drive to it, and then I don't want to spoil anything.
You thought it fizzled out?
Yeah. It just didn't even make sense. It's not even that it fizzled out, because it's quite a bombastic ending. It just I didn't see why it had to go that way, like, or how that. Yeah, I didn't think it meant anything.
Connor didn't get it. That's fine.
No.
Not everyone does.
Get it?
Well, every week.
I think you've misunderstood this film, but that's cool. I
misunderstood what?
Interested. Well,
like,
we can't get into it.
We can't get into spoilers.
We have to move on. Benny?
So the pilot episode is being directed by Scott Derrickson of Doctor Strange fame.
Very cool.
Which is pretty cool. I like how
the
all
best Marvel film yet. Doctor Strange.
The most middling Marvel film yet.
Yeah.
I think I love how all these big directors are kind of doing TV pilots now. It's a real good way to launch a
TV's where
series.
It's at, man.
It's the wave of the future.
House of Cards, Game of Thrones, fucking
Others.
other ones that are not quite as famous.
Snowpiercer.
Dead Walking.
Yeah, but what do you guys think of this idea of taking movies and turning them into TV series, like a reimagining sort
I love
of thing?
it.
I think you have a pretty low hit rate.
Yeah.
Let's see how this one goes. I can't really see how you can expand on that film. I thought,
Is it a remake or a?
Well, it's not a sequel,
Yeah.
certainly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
because I think
it's
that
going to
film
be
was so about moving through the carriages
yeah,
and moving
yeah.
to the front of the
progression
train.
of like going carriage to carriage.
I
It
can
was
imagine
very-
like you could do a season per carriage.
per
or like
carriage. Jesus Christ.
Fuck me. Let's check out this corner on this
Yeah.
episode.
We've got
Oh.
6 movies planned.
Yeah, if they do it as a TV series, I think it'll be far less about getting to the front. Like I just don't think they can do that. That might be the long-term goal, but I do think it'll probably play out something like Prison Break or some shit, which is a bit of a depressing statement.
Anyway, Jennifer Connelly's a good get. I love her.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how this goes.
Moving on.
Number 8, our final story in our main 8, is Neil Blomkamp had a Chappie interview recently where he was awfully candid about his previous films.
Yeah, he got pretty deep on the terrible reaction Chappie got. It was really interesting to hear his perspective because it sounded like he was just really he executed his vision. He kind of said in the interview, it was exactly what I intended it to be, and people, the press and whatnot, just didn't connect with it.
Yeah, I felt bad for him. The way he said it's the film that he feels most was kind of his vision, and he got it exactly how he wanted it. And then he was like, the people didn't like it. And it seems like he feels like it's a bad movie. It's like, no, man, if that's what you wanted to make, then good on you. It's terrible, but you love it. That's fine.
It's pretty
on
sad,
loving
isn't it?
Yeah.
Like he's
It's so
like,
sad.
it's actually a bad film because people didn't like it. Like I felt that was his mindset in this, and it was sad.
I can see how that would, even if you go out to execute your own vision and stuff, what he's doing is he's making something for other people to enjoy. Like that's what movies are. And, if he fails in that kind of core aspect of a film, then I can understand why he would feel
It's
bad.
got plenty of defenders, though, that one.
Yeah.
I quite like Chappie. I
Bunch
think I
of
might
weirdos,
revisit. I really liked it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah. I think that he
was
gets an
interesting.
awful lot of hate on his films, Elysium and Chappie.
Because they're bad. And I
didn't mind
love
Elysium.
his quote. I felt his most interesting quote was, I can't remember, I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, I actually didn't think Elysium was very good.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
fantastic. That's so honest. I like that
Yeah.
because that is clearly a movie that didn't come together terrifically well. Like, and it was trying some really kind of ham-fisted stuff, and it just
There's certainly a better version of that film out there.
But he basically has said like, I've hit 1 out of 3 in this interview. That's basically what he said.
which is the popular opinion, I think.
Yeah.
I don't
And
think
taking it
many
on the
people.
chin, man, like good on him. Guys like Ridley Scott always turn it on. Like he'll never say Prometheus wasn't good.
People didn't get it,
Yeah.
so it's really good to hear that he at least is a little introspective about this and thinks he can do better.
Yeah.
because I
And
think he can.
And I've seen him do some quite in-depth interviews with, sites like IGN and just smaller publications, when he's not just doing press junkets for his films. Like he's quite open and it's refreshing to see this new wave of filmmakers because he is the next generation.
But I wonder if that's a good thing. Like we always connect with someone being a bit self-effacing and honest. I say in quotes. But I think if you're going to put something like that out there, I think there's something to be said for standing by it and being like, not only from a point of view of you've made this and you want to, support your own work, but just in kind of like mental health type of idea. Like if you're going out there and you see all these people shitting on your films and you go with it, I think that, how much can you take before you just crack?
Look, if the alternative is the Ridley Scott school of I am God and everything I do is the best thing in the world, then I don't think that's any more sane than whatever path.
But I don't think it's just one or the other.
Down.
I think that there's a healthy medium where you're like, look, I did what I wanted to do. I enjoy it. If other people don't like it, I mean, fine. Like acknowledging that other people don't like it and that they're not idiots for not liking it, but also at the same time being like, I don't give a shit. Like I'm going to make what I like and what I envision, and I'm going to go with it.
I think the terrible reaction that Chappie got, or the very mixed reaction, is it's going to be crushing no matter how you take it.
Yeah,
like it's going to suck. Yeah. But I think he seems to be kind of dealing with it well.
I hope he continues doing what he's doing now, which is he's kind of going back into a little bit lower budget and experimental style, because he could just as easily go full bore studio. Just be like, I'm just going to make something that people are going to enjoy. I'm not going to take any risks. I'm not going to do anything interesting. I'm just going to make something that's going to make money and make a certain section of the population happy.
I mean, he kind of tried with that Alien movie he wanted to make that really shut down.
Ridley shat on that.
Yeah.
And he was that in the same interview that he came out and he said, I didn't want to, like, I could have fought for it and maybe made it happen, but Ridley Scott, I didn't want to tread any toes.
Yeah, there's certain people that you're just probably not worth fucking with, and Ridley Scott would probably be one of them.
You're just going to wait for him to perish and then it's like,
hey,
you remember that Alien film? Yep. Let's make it.
We'll see it in 2019.
How do I look now?
So Oates, he's coming up with Oates soon, which is his little sci-fi project. I think it's like short films.
His own indie studio.
Yeah, so I think that is where he exists well. I think he exists in like stretching out a smaller budget, like a $30 million budget, like that District 9.
Yeah.
I think that's his wheelhouse. That's his wheelhouse. That's what he knows.
Yeah, 100%. That's it. That's our news. That's our top 8.
Dun, 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 dun.
Fantastic.
Lies! Deception!
So moving on, we got some honorable mentions.
Do we really? Oh, these
No,
are
we
really
don't.
honorable mentions.
I think these are like stretching honorable mentions, to be honest, but we'll go through them anyways. One of them is we got our final Cars 3 trailer.
Have you guys watched it, the Cars 3 trailer?
No.
God damn it, guys. It's really good.
I've heard.
Did.
Yeah, it's a good trailer.
I've heard from you just now.
Well done.
This
That's what I'm
trailer
bringing
and
the
this
news.
actually, Cars 3 in general looks as though it might be, I guess, a return to form for Pixar. Not in general, but just for this particular franchise, like this Cars franchise.
It feels like the like Cars 3 is Logan to Cars 1 and 2's kind of X-Men franchise. like those, like it, not in the sense it's going to be crazy and mature,
Violent.
and dark. Yeah.
Although it does look a lot darker than any of the previous two.
But it looks like tonally kind of different than the other ones, which are very much aimed at kids and trying to sell toys.
Tonally, it feels like a Pixar film.
Yeah, which is good to see that they're making a Pixar movie with this Pixar movie.
I got nothing to say about
Yeah, no,
Cars.
fair call.
I like Michael Caine in number 2. That's about it.
Jesus Christ.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
The other honorable mention is we have a shit ton more Spider-Man Homecoming
It's
media.
insane. It's like 3 a day.
Oh my God. It is crazy. I was watching the NBA finals and they've got this, John Favreau and Tom Holland cameo thing, like kind of NBA Spider-Man mashup thing.
They're really spreading the word on this movie.
It is crazy, the marketing that they're just releasing tons and tons and tons of shit.
It's too big to fail at this point.
Oh, yeah.
I reckon they're shooting for 1.5 billion on this one.
This could be the one that
Feige
breaks
said
it, yeah.
as well. Feige said this week, Spider-Man's the number 1 superhero.
I mean, if you actually think about it, it was a bit of a bizarre move to go with Iron Man as your first kind of...
They didn't have the rights.
It was the only move they had.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, like just in terms of Marvel in general, like that's not what you would have picked.
They don't have X-Men. They don't.
No, I understand why they did it. I'm just saying it's
It's
still
not a bizarre move then, because it's the only choice they had.
Operationally, yes, it's not a bizarre move. But if you, as I said, in the general scope of Marvel, it is not what you would expect to start an MCU or to be successful starting an MCU.
If they
Of course not. They would have used any of their big characters, which they didn't
Why do you
have
to argue
available.
This is bizarre.
Because that makes no
it is
sense. What are you
bizarre.
talking
It's
about?
not making any sense.
All right, if you
Okay,
are-
listen. If what you're saying is if they had all the characters, they wouldn't have launched with Iron Man. Yeah, of course
Yeah.
they wouldn't have.
Duh,
fucking
because
done
they-
that.
But
that's my
but they
point. So when
didn't
he
have
says-
them. But they
Sorry.
didn't have
That's
them.
why there wasn't. That's what there was. The Spider-Man. There was 3 Spider-Man movies and X-Men movies. They made those before they
even
made that.
Thor was more popular than fucking and
Than
but I mean,
Iron Man.
no.
Thor was more popular than
Fuck
Iron
no.
Man.
yeah,
What
actually,
the
that's a good
fuck
point.
are you
Yeah, that's
talking
not even true.
about?
I'm just trying to think
None
of
of these characters.
Stop.
None of these characters
All-
were popular. That's what you have to realize.
all I'm
Iron Man
saying
was a
that-
C tier. He was
Yeah.
a C or D tier superhero.
All I am saying is that from the perspective of Marvel, and I know why they did. I'm not saying
Marvel
that it's,
as a whole company.
yeah, as like if you had all the characters of Marvel,
This is the most
this is
inane
not-
thought ever. Of
Wow.
course,
Well,
then
if they
why
had
were
all
you
the
arguing
characters.
it? If it was
Why'd
just
you
a
say
comment.
it?
It's just a fucking comment, and you decide to make a big deal out of it.
I'm fucking
What
coming
the
for
fuck?
you.
Like,
You
why
think
would
you
make
think
an
you can
argument out
say
of
some
this?
shit like that and let it slide?
What do you mean let it slide? It's a
This is
benign
insane.
comment. How is that like? What is there to let slide? It's
Nah,
just a
I'm
fucking
sorry,
comment.
That's a bizarre
How is that a
comment.
bizarre comment?
It's a bizarre comment.
What? It's a benign fucking nothing comment. There's nothing to
Nah.
really grab
Exactly.
onto.
So why would you
And,
say
like,
it? It's a nothing comment.
Fucking hell. You're fucking impossible. It like blows my mind. It's a nothing comment.
I can go on for another half
it-
hour if you want to defend that comment a little more.
What do you mean? There's nothing to defend. It's a fucking comment. There's nothing to it. Just let it lie. Like
All right,
what?
it's lying.
Nah,
I'm done.
no, I'm coming for you, man.
It's
What's
It's
the?
so stupid.
I agree.
I agree. What's the
Sorry, but no, sorry.
Yeah,
the more I
yeah,
think
yes,
about this,
yeah, fuck
if you're
yes.
going to tell me that that's a benign comment, you coming out and saying Spider-Man's the biggest superhero, how is that not a fucking benign comment? Of course, it's a
Feige said it. Feige
So
said
what if
it.
he said it? It's still a benign comment.
Why do you keep saying benign? He,
Do you have to rip off everything that I say? Like, fuck, it's a word.
I'm not ripping you off. I'm saying, why do you keep saying? I said your comment was inane, but that is an interesting point that they don't have their biggest character. Like Spider-Man is the biggest seller in terms of toys, which is where they generate most of their revenue. Really, like this is all about selling toys. All the movies are. So yeah, Feige saying that is an interesting admission.
Yeah.
Anything else to add, Connor?
Are you kidding?
I dare you. Say something.
So if they had all the characters, would they have launched with Spider-Man? Do you reckon?
Fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say
Exactly.
anything.
What's the next honorable mention, motherfucker?
Fuck that. That's so stupid. I don't want to say anything.
Huh?
I don't want to say anything. Like,
You're not
fuck.
saying anything? Oh, yeah, okay.
All right.
Do we really need to follow that up with anything?
Yeah, I think that's what Cowboy Bebop getting live action series.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have you guys watched
that's
Cowboy
the other
Bebop?
honorable mention.
No, I've never watched Cowboy Bebop. I've only heard great things though.
Yeah, I feel ashamed almost to admit that I haven't seen it. It's like the anime
Yeah, it's
that
like-
everyone's like, oh, you got to see this one.
It's like 26 episodes.
It's
of
the
pure
wire of
gold.
anime.
What do you think, Connor?
I haven't seen it.
Would they have started a shared universe if they had Cowboy Bebop?
Absolutely fucked.
Yes.
You just
We still love you, man.
no, none of that. None of
Come on, high
that.
five me, man. High five me. Come on, we're still friends,
We're
right?
going to end this show before someone gets thrown out a window.
Yeah. Well, that's it, guys. What a week! We got a little bit heated towards the end there, as we do. That's what we're about. We're about banter.
We're passionate guys, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, hit us up on Facebook, Instagram at The Podcast Strikes Back. We'll be back on Tuesday. Our review of The Mummy, which should be hopefully not too depressing. Anyway, boys, I hope everyone's here next week after that. Connor,
Bye.
Penny,
See ya.
bye.